You've seen the clips all over your feed, the emotional quotes, the viral headlines, the endless tweets insisting Lexi Hull was saying her final goodbyes. For days, everyone's been convinced Caitlin Clark's closest ally is walking away and the Indiana Fever are about to crumble. But what if that story is completely wrong? Because here's the truth no one's telling you. This isn't a farewell, it's a power move. Lexi Hull isn't leaving, she's standing at the center of a loyalty test that could decide the future of the entire franchise. And right at the heart of it all is Caitlin Clark, whose influence and loyalty have backed the Fever's front office into a corner they can't ignore. The headlines want you to believe this is heartbreak, but beneath the noise is a chess match between power, loyalty, and control. And once you see the full picture, you'll realize this was never about a player leaving. It's about how one superstar's loyalty just forced an entire franchise to reveal where they truly stand. It all started with one interview, a simple postseason comment that the internet twisted into a tearful goodbye. Within hours, clips were chopped, context was stripped, and headlines screamed the end of an era. But Lexi Hull never said she was leaving, not once. She said she's entering restricted free agency, which means the Fever still control her future by matching any offer she gets. Translation, she's not gone, she's negotiating. But Lexi Hull stays in talks, doesn't drive clicks. Caitlin Clark's best friend says goodbye, does. And once that emotional story took off, every pause and sigh became proof she was leaving. The truth is simpler and far more powerful. This was never about a farewell. It was about leverage, a calculated move in a bigger power game that could shape the Indiana Fever's future. Now that we've cut through the clickbait, let's focus on what really matters, the bond between Caitlin Clark and Lexi Hull. This isn't just two teammates getting along, it's a connection woven into every game they played. You saw it in the way Caitlin trusted Lexi on the wing, in their celebrations after big stops, in how they lifted each other when the pressure hit. That chemistry wasn't forced, it was real, and it held the Fever together when chaos hit. So when Lexi posted her end-of-season message, the one everyone twisted into a goodbye, Caitlin didn't stay silent. She commented publicly, "So proud of you," simple words, but they hit like a signal flare. It wasn't just support, it was Caitlin publicly staking her loyalty and making it clear. This is my teammate. That one comment shifted the conversation from emotional to strategic. Suddenly, Lexi's free agency wasn't just business, it was a statement of power, a reminder that chemistry and trust are not optional in building a contender. While the media sold heartbreak, Caitlin and Lexi were quietly reshaping how an entire franchise makes decisions. That's why this isn't just friendship, it's an alliance, and it's destroying one of the most toxic narratives surrounding Caitlin Clark. For months, critics claimed no one wanted to play with her, that her spotlight was too bright, her intensity too much, her presence overwhelming. But the truth is, the complete opposite. Lexi Hull isn't running from Caitlin's shadow, she's thriving in it. She's part of it. And the Fever's entire season proved that the so-called divide doesn't exist. When Clark arrived, people expected jealousy and tension. Instead, they got cohesion and unity. Lexi became the perfect example. Their chemistry turned into one of the most quietly dominant partnerships in the league. Built on trust you can't fake or manufacture in practice. That trust flipped the narrative from "she's hard to play with" to "she's the kind of leader players rally around." And that invisible bond has become the Fever's most valuable weapon, more powerful than stats or salaries. Because in today's WNBA, loyalty isn't just emotion, it's currency. And Caitlin Clark's loyalty is shaping how rosters are built and how teams plan their future. And that's where everything shifts. When a superstar like Caitlin Clark publicly shows support for a teammate, it's not just friendship, it's pressure. It tells the front office, this is who I trust, this is who I want here. And ignoring that isn't just risky, it's dangerous. That's why the old narrative about Clark dividing locker rooms is dead. She's not dividing them, she's defining them. Her loyalty has become a force that shapes rosters, changes contracts, and sets the direction of entire organizations. This is bigger than friendship or public statements. It's real influence born from genuine connection. And now, the Indiana Fever are facing a loyalty test with real consequences. Every decision they make under this spotlight sends a message. Because what started as a misunderstood farewell has become something much more serious, a silent ultimatum. And here's the twist. Caitlin didn't have to say a single word to make it happen. The Fever are now backed into a corner, and no matter what they do, the stakes are huge. If they let Lexi Hull walk, the message is devastating. It says they don't value chemistry, they don't protect loyalty, and they're willing to gamble with the trust of the most influential player in the league. The backlash would be instant. Social media would erupt, analysts would question the franchise's vision, and fans would doubt their commitment to building around Caitlin Clark. But the only real option is clear: they have to match any offer and keep Lexi, no matter the cost. Because this isn't about paying for a role player anymore. It's about preserving trust, stability, and chemistry, things you can't replace once they're gone. And with the entire league watching, every move Indiana makes will reveal whether they understand what they truly have in Caitlin Clark, not just a superstar scorer, but a leader whose loyalty is strong enough to move markets. And that pressure only grows when you look at the bigger picture, because two massive forces are reshaping the entire WNBA and raising the stakes for Indiana. The first is the looming collective bargaining agreement set to expire on the 31st of October, 2025. Negotiations are already tense, with players demanding higher pay, better travel, and more control. And there's talk of a possible lockout in 2026. In times like that, stability becomes gold, and any sign of chaos or disunity destroys a team's leverage. The second force is the rise of Unrivaled, a player-owned league promising six-figure contracts, flexible schedules, and creative freedom the WNBA has never offered. That changes everything for players like Lexi Hull, who now have real options and real power. Suddenly, loyalty isn't just emotional, it's strategic. And that's why this decision matters so much. If Indiana mishandles this, they won't just lose a player, they'll lose trust, credibility, and influence in a league where players finally hold the power to choose where and how they play. To understand just how dangerous losing Lexi Hull would be, you have to remember how the Fever got here. This isn't a team that coasted into success. They clawed their way back from the brink through grit, resilience, and unshakable chemistry. Injuries hit hard, lineups changed constantly. Even Caitlin Clark was sidelined with a season-ending injury. And yet, they fought their way into the semifinals and pushed the defending champions to 5 games. What held them together wasn't just talent, it was culture. It was the glue players like Lexi, the ones who do the dirty work, anchor the defense, and keep the locker room steady when everything else is falling apart. That's the foundation Indiana risks losing if they let her walk. Because once that chemistry cracks, everything built on it starts to crumble. And if the Fever truly want to turn this surge of momentum into a dynasty, protecting that foundation isn't optional, it's everything. Now that the noise is stripped away, the real story becomes clear. This was never about Lexi Hull leaving the Indiana Fever. It's about how loyalty, trust, and chemistry have turned into leverage powerful enough to shape an entire franchise. Caitlin Clark's influence isn't just about points or highlights anymore, it's about leadership that commands decisions. And with just 3 simple words, "so proud of you," she flipped a fake farewell into one of the most pivotal loyalty tests the WNBA has ever seen. Every move the Fever make from here will reveal whether they truly understand what they have, not just a generational scorer, but a generational leader. Because if they fail this test, they lose far more than a player. They lose the very culture that makes winning possible. This moment goes beyond basketball. It's about how franchises treat the people who make their success possible. So now the question isn't whether Lexi Hull will stay, it's whether the Indiana Fever are smart enough and bold enough to understand what this moment truly means. Because once the decision is made, there's no undoing it. The message will be clear to the entire league. Either they stand with their superstar and the culture she's building, or they stand against it. This isn't just a contract negotiation, it's a defining moment for a franchise stepping into a new era of women's basketball. An era where players have power, where loyalty carries weight, and where the real battles are fought far beyond the court. Caitlin Clark isn't dividing the Fever, she's defining them. And how Indiana responds to this loyalty test will decide not just the fate of one player, but the future of the entire organization. Because in the modern WNBA, loyalty isn't weakness, it's the strongest weapon a team can have.